Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Jaya Radha Madhav, Radha Jaya Radha Madhav, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Darshana, Jaya Jagannath, Jai Shobhadra, Jaya Shobhadra, Jaya Gauradika, Jaya Gauradika, Gaurani Pai, Jaya Gaurani Pai, Jaya Gaurani Pai, Gaurani Pai, Jaya Gaurani Pai, Jaya Lakshmi Nara Simha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Jaya Simha, Jaya Ananta Dev, Jaya Lakshmi Nara Simha, Jaya Ananta Dev. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Gurudev. Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय। मथुरा धाम की जय। द्वारका धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर भक्त प्रेम आनंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतः सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठकी। ओम तत्सत्। So Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for ISKCON Seshadripuram morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So today I have been asked to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 22nd chapter, verse number 8 and 9. I hope 7 was covered also, so I will take 8 and 9 today. I'll read the verse. Sabhavan duhitir sneha pariklistat mano mama shrotum arhasi dinasya shravitam kripaya mune. Sabhavan duhitir sneha pariklistat mano mama shrotum arhasi dinasya shravitam kripaya mune. Sabhavan duhitir sneha pariklistatmano mama shrotum arhasi dinasya shravitam kripaya mune. Word by word translation. Sa, yourself. Bhavan, your honor. Duhitir sneha, by affection for my daughter. Pariklishta atmanaha, whose mind is agitated. Mama, my. Shrotum, to listen. Arhasi, be pleased. Dinasya, of my humble self. Shravitam, to the prayer. Kripaya, graciously. Mune, O sage. Translation. And purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O great sage, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter. Purport. When a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, having received his message and executed it perfectly and sincerely, he has a right to ask a particular favor from the spiritual master. Generally, a pure devotee of the Lord or a pure disciple of a bona fide spiritual master does not ask any favor either from the Lord or the spiritual master. But even if there is a need to ask a favor from the spiritual master, one cannot ask that favor without satisfying him fully. Swayambhuva Manu wanted to disclose his mind regarding the function he wanted to execute due to affection for his daughter. Verse number 9. Priyavrito tat tanna priyavrito tanno pado ho sveshayam duhita mama anvichati patim yuktam vayahashila gunadibihi. Priyavrito tat napadoho sveshyam duhita mama anvichati patim yuktam vayahashila gunadibihi. Priyavrito ta napadoho swaseyam duhita mama anvichati patim yuktam vayahashila gunadibihi. Priyavrita Uttana Padoho. Of Priyavrita and Uttana Pada. Swasa, sister. Yam, this. Duhita, daughter. Mama, mine. Anvichati is seeking. Patim, husband. Yuktam, suited. Vayahashila Guna Adibihi. By age, character, good qualities, etc. Translation. My daughter is the sister of Priyavrita and Uttanapada. She is seeking a suitable husband in terms of age, character, and good qualities. Purport. The grown-up daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, Devahuti, had good character and was well qualified. Therefore, she was searching for a suitable husband just befitting her age, qualities, and character. The purpose of Manu's introducing his daughter as the sister of Priyavrita and Uttanapada, two great kings, was to convince the sage that the girl came from a great family. She was his daughter and at the same time the sister of Kshatriyas. She did not come from a lower class family. Manu therefore offered her to Kardama as just suitable for his purpose. It is clear that although the daughter was mature in age and qualities, she did not go out and find her husband independently. She expressed her desire for a suitable husband corresponding to her character, age, and quality, and the father himself, out of affection for his daughter, took charge of finding such a husband. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurgurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vranda Vaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So in this chapter, there is this discussion happening between Swayambhuva Manu and Kardama Muni at this juncture. And before these verses, we also saw how Kardama Muni did very severe austerities to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the austerity in the yoga system. And in the process, the Lord appeared and gave him his association. And Kardama Muni sought from him that he wanted a very good wife so that he can progress in spiritual life along with her, in association and in with cooperation, where there are sometimes, there's these needs that to progress in spiritual life also. Some people may have, certain, nobody is perfect in everything. So there may be always some needs, right? It could be sometimes physical, it could be sometimes because of the nature, we may need some specific things with which will help us to be stable. So Kardama Muni actually asked for a good wife so that he can peacefully perform devotional service. And the Lord being pleased with him, even though also calling him, it's not like therefore he is a very fallen soul or anything like that. The Lord really appreciated his devotion, and he really, in fact, he even shed tears looking at the great love and affection that Kardama Muni had for him and the kind of austerities he did to please him. So in that sense, where he was very pleased with him, and he told him, okay, don't worry, you will get a wonderful wife, and who will, who will be able to satisfy your expectations in, however you want to progress. It's not like using a wife, right? It's not in that sense. It is to have a mutual service. That way both can actually progress. So that is how we understand these things. It's not like, okay, I get a wife to satisfy my requirement, therefore this wife is some product for me to actually exploit. It is not like that. Here he is basically seeking a kind of a person who can be very cooperative with him in mutual service, and in the process both of them can progress. And he actually realizes that he needs someone to take part in his life in that manner, and therefore he is sincerely seeking for it. So given this, the Lord was pleased, and he told him, don't worry, there is a wonderful person who will actually come and offer his daughter to you, and you both can be happily married and progress further from here. So then he was waiting, and then Swayambhuva Manu, who's the son of Brahma, who's the king of all kings. There are 14 Manus in one creation. When I think Swayambhuva Manu, when Lord Brahma created him and he said, "No, you rule over." He said, I am not capable of ruling over so much. It's not possible for such a long duration. No, it is not possible. Then he gave 14 people this responsibility like that. Therefore, 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. This is, I believe, the first Manu in that 14, the Swayambhuva Manu. So he then comes along with his wife and daughter, and then he is having this meeting with Kardama Muni. And in the earlier verses, they had nice exchanges, like each one of them, like Kardama Muni glorifying Swayambhuva Manu, saying that, you are a great king and you are giving protection to everyone, such wonderful things, glorifying the person who has come to visit him. Of course, he even pays obeisances onto Swayambhuva Manu. Generally, if you see, saints don't pay obeisances to the Kshatriyas. It is the Kshatriyas who pay obeisances to the saints. But here, Swayambhuva Manu is not an ordinary Kshatriya. He's one of the, is a very great personality, not to be looked simply as a Kshatriya or Grahastha or anything like that. possibly even Swayambhuva Manu also realized that he is his future father-in-law, and you always pay obeisances to your father-in-law. So that is another thing. So there could be so many reasons why he paid obeisances, but he did pay obeisances and then glorify him nicely. And the mood of Swayambhuva Manu here is also wonderful. Like, therefore he didn't take it, okay, now this boy is like now fallen at my feet and he's glorifying me, and therefore, I immediately take him for granted. No, he reciprocates equally by glorifying him and telling him, no, you are like a spiritual master to me. His glorification, he took it very nicely, as though that glorification is to give me instructions. So see, this is the very fine development of the brain, right? They see a wonderful message even in the glorification. To see, he's saying, oh, so you therefore have very nicely given me how a king should rule the as a ruler. So he takes that as a message rather than as saying that I am already doing that. He's saying, okay, this is something which I'm learning from you, that I need to be like this as a proper king. So that way he's saying, and then he's saying, okay, now, so in a way that I have accepted you as a master, and therefore he's now going to seek some favor from him. So that's what is this particular verse about. Oh, great sage, graciously be pleased to listen to the prayer of my humble self, for my mind is troubled by affection for my daughter. And so the Prabhupada is writing here that when a disciple is perfectly in consonance with the spiritual master, so therefore we can understand here the mood of Swayambhuva Manu is also that of hearing from an authority. When he heard those glorification by Kardama Muni, he took it as a kind of an instruction from a spiritual master, and therefore here Prabhupada is trying to give some definitions or give some characteristics of how transactions are, not transactions, exchanges are there between the spiritual master and the disciple. So here he is saying a disciple is supposed to actually serve the spiritual master very nicely to his fullest satisfaction. And then he says, if you have actually done that job very perfectly, then he's using the word, he has a right to seek some favor from the spiritual master. Okay, so that is the the science that or the law that maybe you can seek some favor from the spiritual master. But Prabhupada is also nicely cautioning, but don't take it that we go and keep asking favors from the spiritual master, because he's immediately saying, generally a pure devotee of the Lord or a pure disciple of a bona fide spiritual master does not ask any favor either from the Lord or the spiritual master. So, and even if you have to ask, so this is an exception, it's not like always. Even if you have to ask, it should be done after fully satisfying the spiritual master. So there are many learnings for us from all these things. First and foremost, we do not take any favor from the spiritual master materially. So this is very important. Like, so many times all of not us, but generally the mood is you go to realized people and seek for blessings and ask, okay, you please, I'm in financial trouble, you please bless me that, my financial troubles are removed, or you please bless me so that I get wealth, you please bless me so that I get some good health, so many things like this. We generally keep asking for such favors, but that should not be the case. There have been many instances, Prabhupada, wherever he goes, people will come and quickly fall at his feet and then seek for blessings. Oh, please bless us. And Prabhupada will slightly be very, not enthusiastic about this kind of glorification, right? People coming and immediately falling at his feet. So he has commented also, many people come and fall because they are expecting some material benefits from me, that I will bless them to become materially benefit. To some extent, that once one person came and fell at Prabhupada's lotus feet and said, you please bless me. So Prabhupada was little, he was in a mood. He said, you really want my blessing? Yes, I want your blessing. be very careful if you're asking a blessing from me. If you are having any material desires, I will not give that. But if you have any real spiritual benefit, spiritual desire, I'm very happy to bless you. But if I bless you, you will become spiritually very enlightened. Do you want that? He asked, to give away your material desires. My blessings will take away all your material desires. Do you want that? Then that man simply did like this and went away, I believe. He did not pay obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. So this actually shows people generally go looking for material benefits. So if you are looking for that, they are okay. They don't really come seeking for spiritual benefit. That means to be blessed so that they can actually become detached, become more and more attracted to the Supreme Lord, and thereby the consequences of that attraction is naturally to give up material desires, material activities, right? It is in a way natural that you tend to become more spiritual than be related to material things. So Prabhupada is like that. But in this case, he's saying, okay, even if you have to ask for a favor, you should have actually done a lot of service to the spiritual master that he is so very pleased. Then the spiritual master is sort of obliged to give that thing. But as devotees, we do not expect anything. In fact, there is one place where Prabhupada, there is one pastime, which is a Leela, it's a history which happened. There was, when Prabhupada was writing his books, he needed all of these books to be translated into very different languages all over the world, right? Like French, Germany, and whatever. Like this. So these languages, it's not like they are available like easily for you get translators and all that. And Prabhupada was also making disciples all over the world, and therefore there were some disciples who, in that particular, I don't remember which language, French or German, I don't know, I don't remember. But so he was he wanted that book, the Bhagavad Gita as it is. That to be translated in that language, and he had to depend on his disciples and anybody who would actually do some little bit of a help, so that who are expert in that language and they can do it. And one of his disciples actually had that ability to translate, and he was doing it very quickly also. Sometimes we try to see I tried, okay, let us translate this one into Tamil, one paragraph, because I know a little bit of a Tamil. So then when you sit and think about it, how to put that paragraph from English to Tamil, or for that matter, any language, it is very difficult. You may know the language, but the mood in which it is being mentioned, what kind of words to choose to put it out there, it is very difficult. But nonetheless, this gentleman, Prabhupada's disciple, he was very good and he was translating very fast, I believe. So Prabhupada was keen that he completes this translation. But it happened that Prabhupada came to know that he is actually demanding a lot of money to complete the translation. So Prabhupada was talking to some of his other disciples. He's saying, this boy is expecting a lot of money. That is not good for him. He uses these words. And he says, Guru's money is bad money. So Guru's money is bad money. That means any money that we take from the spiritual master is not going to help us in any way. It should be the other way around. We should be serving the spiritual master with our money, with our whatever facilities we have, we should be able to give. It's not that, okay, therefore, I will take something from the spiritual master and do it, and even if you really see in those days when Prabhupada started the movement, it's not like Prabhupada, there were many who left their everything and came to Srila Prabhupada, including women. Right? And it's not like Prabhupada never paid any even a pay to any of them. And he proudly tells many times, these people, I don't pay them anything, but they are working out of their love for me. This is the way Prabhupada always expressed satisfaction with his disciples, that they were not taking any money from him. They were going through so many difficulties to survive, but they don't take money from me. So whoever moved into the ashram, that is the way it was those days, right? ISKCON means Krishna consciousness, means they have to literally leave their home and come and live in the temple, which Srila Prabhupada has he established many temples. And all of these devotees, particularly in the Western world, right, they can't be at home and practice Krishna consciousness because it's always their meat eating. All the regulative principles are broken in the Western world. And therefore, anyone who's deciding to take up Krishna consciousness will not have a suitable environment at home to practice Krishna consciousness. So naturally, they would move out of home and move into the temple. And therefore, it's not like, okay, now I am full-time here. Therefore, do I get some money from you for, doing my whatever service for you? No, not like that. So Prabhupada, they are always offered a basic clothing and then food, prasadam. And that's it. They have to manage with that. It's very austere. It's not like, very palatial buildings with a lot of comforts and all that. But no money was paid. It was all like, you can eat, you can take shelter, and you can have your dress, whatever, it's not like, very elaborate, luxurious dresses, but basic Vaishnav dresses. And that's it, and then even the Matajis, like, sometimes Prabhupada used to say, he had called his disciples and said, give this Mataji, like, this Mataji was really struggling, having a small child and all. Give her 3, 4 saris, 5 saris, like this. He never said give her money. So this is how it used to be, and it used to happen. And also, he is saying, take favor from even the Lord or the spiritual master, both. So sometimes, there are when we are doing some spiritual service to the spiritual master and thereby to the Lord, this tendency, if you see in outside, if you see many people, they give pravachans, like, what do you call the Bhagavatam classes or Bhagavad Gita classes, and then they will have a charge. Okay, you give me so much of money for doing. It's like a performance. I'm performing this, like, just you go and perform some music concert and then you get some money. Like that, you give me this money and then, I will come and do. According to the money, the level of the engagement will be there. So this is all, like, Prabhupada really was condemning all such things. When you do a service of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is completely a service. It is not a profession. It is not something where you try to make money out of it. Of course, Prabhupada has also said, like, when you go to, when some people ask you to give some classes and all, outside the temple, you charge them. But when they come to the temple, it is free. But when he says charge, it is not for the speaker. That money goes to the temple. It is not to the speaker that he will charge the money and then take it and go. So these are all there, very important aspects. We follow that, in ISKCON very much, that, we don't take money, we don't do, business with Bhagavatam and all that. But it is going on everywhere, all over the world. And there are many subtle things also. Like, when you try to do a service, don't ever look for any material benefit from that service. Like, so this is very, very, there is, I've heard in, these things, like, if someone has to be cursed, make him a temple president. The idea is, when you become a temple president, of course, I'm not meaning in our terms, generally, like, this is a kind of a saying, because when you are connected with a lot of money and responsibility of Krishna, like, if you are a trustee of the money of Krishna, there's always a chance that somehow unknowingly we may, touch Krishna's money or Guru's money, unknowingly also. And that will immediately give us so much of negative results that the man will, in the next life, he will become, some kind of a snake or something like that, worm or something like that. So I've heard this in many days back. That means this is not to say, okay, therefore don't become a temple president or something. The point is how careful one has to be in dealing with the money of the spiritual master and in dealing with the money of Krishna. That is the main point. Today, many of us are administrators, like, we may do so many things as a service we are doing, but then you should be very clear how you maintain your accounts, how you maintain that, we don't even one pace we forget to account, or okay, someone gives 5 rupees a donation, you put it in your pocket, and say tomorrow you forget to put it into the undi or account for it, it's a problem. So we need to be very, very careful how we deal with this, and particularly here these examples of thing. But of course, when we are not at that full level of devotion, there is always little, Krishna says, right, 4 kinds of devotees I have. He says one is artharthi, those who are seeking for some material benefits, those who are seeking relief from some problems. It's not necessarily wealth. It could be like, my health is not good, or like, I want a good wife, or I want a good husband, sometimes some of these things. He says, these are also my devotees, not to condemn them or say that, oh, these people are all, after these material benefits. No, we should not be thinking like that. But Krishna says, but the topmost of them is one who's actually completely engaged in me, not satata chintayantoma yejana pariupasyate. They're all the time, talking about me, glorifying me, not looking for any benefit. There's one incident where it is mentioned, these gopis, that's the highest form of love, where service, where, Narada Muni or someone is asking Krishna, everywhere everybody is obliged to you, right? Because there is some favor that they are taking from you, so they are obliged. But these gopis, now you are obliged to them. There is nothing that they seek from you, but they are giving you so much service. What will you do? How you are going to? That means Krishna is put in a spot. See, generally, if someone is doing some service and I give them back double of what they are done, then I have an upper hand. Like, I am actually giving you benefit, not that you are serving me. But where that person does not take anything from you, but when he is serving you, you are in a spot, right? You may have the ability to give, but if he is not interested in taking from you, therefore now you become a debtor. Like, you become sort of indebted to that person. So Krishna is in that spot with his gopis, and he says, I don't know how I can, so I am giving myself to you. That is the mood of Krishna. He's feeling that I can't do anything now. These people are doing so much for me now. What will I do? Because I can give, but they are not taking. They are not interested to take anything from me, and therefore he becomes indebted. He's saying, I will give myself to you. So that should be the mood when you talk about pure devotional service, that, I will do whatever I do for the Lord, but I will not expect anything in return as a favor. So this is one thing. But there are also there are also occasions when the devotees ask for favor, but how a pure devotee asks. We'll just look at one more pastime. There is this in Ramanuja Sampradaya, this devotee, what's his name, who lost his eye? Kuresh, right? He's an Alvar, right? So he was living in Kanchipuram, and he was a king at once upon a time. When he was a king at once upon a time, and in Kanchipuram there used to be this temple, Varadaraja Perumal temple. So when and Kuresh was living maybe some 5-7 kilometers away. His palace was somewhere there, and when there used to be some bell or something which rings in Kuresh's house, and it seems Varadaraja Perumal used to ask, whose house this bell is ringing like that. So when this information reached Kuresh, he felt bad that, I am making myself such a big thing that the Lord has to inquire about me like this. And he immediately, some realization happened, and then he gave up. He thought, I'm so much puffed up that, I am making such a huge splash that the Lord is, what is this happening like that? If the Lord is asking, then I am so much puffed up with all my pomp and, all the aristocracy of all that, and therefore he suddenly gave up everything. I will give up everything and I will surrender to the Lord. And he takes initiation from Sri Ramanujacharya. He and his wife, they are just walking penniless, and then that's how he started. And then he became such a great disciple of the Lord that Ramanujacharya is a great disciple of the Lord, and a great disciple of Ramanujacharya, and a wonderful devotee of the Lord. That at some point there was this, the the Shaivite kings in South India, they were more interested in pushing the philosophy of Shaivism, and therefore and Ramanujacharya was a Vaishnav, and he was defeating their philosophy left, right, and center. Nobody was able to stand in front of Ramanujacharya's philosophical debates. So these Shaivite kings wanted their philosophy to be percolated to the people, because people are not accepting his philosophy, they are accepting Ramanujacharya's philosophy of Vaishnavism. Therefore, they wanted that, they used to first call for these debates. If they win, fine. If they lose, that means if these Shaivites win, they are okay. If they lose, then this king will arrest them, and then he will put them in prison, and they will torture these Vaishnavas like that. So they were seeing this Ramanujacharya is the biggest problem for us. Therefore, this Ramanujacharya has to be either won in a debate or we should kill him. This was the kind of mood they had. So Ramanujacharya, in fact, of course, these were external. Ramanujacharya, he himself is Anantasesh. So he does not need any protection, but these are, part of Leelas that we are seeing. Therefore, actually, he took shelter near Bangalore, right, in Melkote. There's a place near Melkote. He was living there for 13 years. So at that time, what was decided was this Quresha. He was also brilliant in terms of the knowledge, in debates and philosophy, everything. So he said, let me impersonate Ramanujacharya. Let me act as though I am Ramanujacharya while Ramanujacharya is safely there. It is not that he was doing it himself. It was agreed in discussion between Ramanujacharya and all the disciples that Quresh will show himself as Ramanujacharya, while Ramanujacharya will be secludedly kept safely here near Bangalore, the kind of thing. So Quresh was going around preaching as Ramanujacharya, and he was there in that place where the kings wanted to debate, and then they saw him as Ramanujacharya, this is Ramanujacharya who has come, and he had this debate with those fellows, and he defeated everybody. Vaishnavism cannot be defeated. On top of it, these amazing pure devotees, they are full of all the empowered personalities. So he went and defeated all the debaters of the Shaivite philosophy. And therefore, the king immediately arrested him and then put him in prison. And in fact, he plucked out his eyes. So Quresh lost his eyes. And after a period in time, he somehow escapes, or he was released. Something happens, and then he comes out, and then he meets up with Ramanujacharya. At that time, so we are now talking about favors, right? Like asking a favor from the spiritual master. At that time, Ramanujacharya asks him, "You have served me very nicely, so I'm very happy with you. Now I will give you back your eyes." So, typical like what we are discussing here, like when you served very nicely, then you have a right to ask for a favor. Here the spiritual master is saying, it is my obligation to serve you, do you a favor, I will give you back your eyes. But Quresh says no. Actually, he says, I don't feel the lack of eyes, because my interest with the eyes is to see you, my spiritual master, and therefore you just bless me that I will be able to see, capture your vision in my heart, and I want that only. Till I leave my body, I want to be seeing you, not physically, but seeing you in my heart. But I want one favor from you. And he says, what is that favor? That favor is, you please forgive this king who actually did this to me. So this is how the Vaishnavas are. He is asking for a favor for a person who actually harmed him, but he's not asking for a favor for himself personally. So this is an amazing mood of Vaishnavas. So that is something which, if you have to look at what should be the goal, that should be the way we should look at it. Guru's money is bad money. Should not look for anything from the spiritual master. But on the other hand, if at all a favor, it should be more to do spiritual activities. Like, Prabhupada always prayed and sought blessings from his spiritual masters. The Guru Parampara, that, not to that give me this, give me that. He always prayed, you please use me as a tool in furthering your cause. So you always use, you empower me so that I can go and do your job, not that, I become great. I do your job. And you empower me, that's a favor. Empower me to go and preach all over the world. But that is only to serve your cause of Krishna consciousness becoming globally, not that it is my cause, something like that. So that is very important. The next verse, the discussion is about, he's talking, Swayambhu Manu is introducing his daughter as saying, she is my daughter and also the sister of these two great Kshatriyas, Uttana Pada and Priyavrata. So this is generally we say, right, when we introduce ourselves, we say some things which are great about us. But we also add, my uncle is so and so, like assuming your uncle is a IAS officer or something, or in a very good position. We add that, right? Why? Because that will give us more credibility. Oh, he so and so's nephew is so and so, connected to so and so. If you are connected to so and so, then in the perception of the other person, your perception in that other person's mind goes up a little bit. And therefore, these kind of introduction. So here he is introducing to say, okay, this daughter, not only my daughter, the other two sons, other two children of me, these two are such great Kshatriyas. And therefore, Hare Krishna, sorry, the power went off here and I had to go offline. Am I audible now? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, very clear.
Okay. So
Yes,
sorry,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. Power went off. Okay, so here, so he's giving such an introduction that my daughter is in no way inferior. Like the other two children are such great personalities, and my daughter is also such a great personality. So to give that impression to Kardama Muni, Swayambhu Manu is actually talking about this. And here it is also mentioned, out of my love for my daughter, I am doing this. See, basically, there is some, you will see this in the later verses. I will not go into the depth of that because someone else will be explaining that. But the point is here, she will actually, it's not like, he has just come and randomly. There has been some discussions happened between Narada Muni and Devahuti, at which point in time she hears about this Kardama Muni, and she actually, having heard about him, she is actually very impressed. So she decides that, I want to have him as my husband. And therefore, the father is obliged to come, bringing his daughter, and then plead to this Muni that, so he's saying, I'm coming here because I am agitated. I want to satisfy my daughter's desire, and therefore I have come here. He's saying like that. And Prabhupada is commenting, commenting here that, while this Devahuti is very qualified in every term, she is not simply going herself and, looking for a man. So this is something in Vedic culture, it is always, the father actually, arranges for the marriage of the daughter. Of course, there has always been these love marriages. Here also it is in a way love marriage, right? That she suddenly heard about him and she is impressed and she wants to marry him. She's developed a, what do you call, a desire to have him as her husband. So that is there. So this is in a way like that. But even those things were there even then. It's not like whatever we see today is something. If you see today, most of it is happening like that. But it was there even those days. But these things were still handled in a very nice way. Like, so the girl expresses her desire to her father, and then the father is not immediately, oh, how can you do this? I am a Kshatriya, I will give you to a very handsome man. In this here, Kardama Muni is also a very handsome and very effulgent personality. That's a different thing. But someone who's rich, who's an aristocratic way and all that. But he says, okay, fine, if that is what it is. And he also understands it's not simply, apparently he may not have wealth, but that is not what is the most important thing in life. There is, the other things, what he brings to the table. And so he's happy to go and take her and then go and beg to Gautama Muni to actually marry his daughter. So those things have been highlighted by Srila Prabhupada, and that's the important thing. So therefore, today, if you see, when we go against this kind of a thing, there are so many problems. Today, off late, what is happening, right? Today, that's the hot news. If you switch on the TV news, you only hear this. One boy just took away one girl, and they were not married. It looks like it is a living in relationship. And over a period of time, he abused her so badly. And there is no support system for her, right? It looks like she's even sought police protection, saying the guy is doing all these things, but nobody bothered. And at the end of the day, apparently it is reported as she's been killed by the man and chopped over many pieces and, disposed of the body. So the kind of insecurity that is there when people are very independently doing things, right? While I understand we are in a different world altogether. We are not in the Vedic world. But then these things actually put us in a kind of a big peril. Sometimes it is for the man. It's not like only the women is exploited. There are many occasions where the man is also exploited. So the idea is how we can move forward all of these things, having the protection of the family. That is something which is very important. So there are many people who overnight run away from the family, right? Yesterday she was talking to me. I know of some cases like that, where the father and the daughter and, they had very nice relationship. Everything was good, but the man was not knowing what was happening. Man means the father and the mother. Suddenly one morning, the girl is missing. And then suddenly she's gone away with some guy, and, so infatuations, right? There's no good background for the boy, so many character-wise, there's nothing. And then, we have physically seen many stories like this, that, then the girl got into so much trouble and then nowhere to go. Then she either comes back to the family, or if she doesn't come back, exploited in different ways. There are so many stories happening like this. And similarly for the boys also, there are so many, sometimes they get murdered also by the girl side family. They murdered because, this guy actually eloped with my daughter, and the other side is very aggressive side. They have killed the boy altogether. So such things happen. Therefore, it is important that unity of the family, that security that we get out of secured relationships that we have from the family. All these are important, and how the parents should actually understand the turbulent times of the youngsters. Yes, there's so many things that we can learn from Srimad Bhagavatam, not superficially, but if you go deeply into all of these things, we can, for our own children, like, within our community, how do we balance all these things, not simply be very, very critical about them, but try to understand what is going on in their mind. How do we? So here, Swayambhuva Manu, he's such a great personality, the king of the entire universe, 14 planetary system, but he's listening. Oh, this is your thing. So how do I go and, make it happen for you, and at the same time, make it nice for you, right? That is very important. So the father cannot be in his own silo and say this one, but at the same time, the children should have that maturity, or rather should understand the strength they derive from the family life, all this. So it's a very important aspect that we are learning from this Vedic, what do you call, way of living. So I will end here. We are about time. So if there are any questions, any comments, welcome. There's not much of a lecture here. I have try to figure out if there are any Prabhupada disciples. Many classes have been given around these topics. I couldn't find any, but I didn't want to go out of the subject also, so I tried to narrate whatever I could based on whatever I heard earlier. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay, so if there are no questions or comments, then maybe we can close down.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dadat Pranam.
Hare
You said we shouldn't take anything from the Guru, so that point was very nice point, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
If there are no questions or comments, we can end the session.
Thank you, Prabhu. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai.